Hello, this is Zeke777, and welcome back to episode 7 of my Simply Magic 2 Let's Play. We have quite a few things planned for today. First off, you can see I still haven't really built much of my base yet. We're actually going to hopefully get a big chunk of that done, because the first thing on my list is to actually work with a cobble gen. In order to do that, I have a couple different ideas of what I'm going to be using. For the actual generation of the cobblestone, I'm going to be using a Ritual of the Crusher, like the one on top here. I'm going to have that basically just breaking a simple vanilla cobblestone generator of lava and water. And that'll be my main source of cobblestone. From there, I'm going to have a couple more rituals that I want to work on. For this block here, instead of the chiseled stone, I think I'm going to start using this, I think this is destructive, yeah, polished destructive stone. I'm going to swap out pretty much all of this chiseled stone for that. But in order to do that, I need to automate the collection of the will crystals. Don't have any crystals on me. Let's go grab one, just so I can show you what I'm talking about. These ones here, the demon will crystal. This is just a regular raw crystal, if I can speak. That's how you make these blue ones here. But we're going to go with the, what is this, yellowish? Yeah, kind of yellowy orange. Use that for the walls, but also I want to automate the destructive crystals, because that is how I'm going to be, I'm going to be fixing this. If I use the destructive will with the crusher ritual here, then it'll actually act as fortune 3. So basically I need to supply this guy with destructive will. I can speak today. I'll supply that with destructive will, which will get this to be mined with fortune, but I'll also need the crystals for the actual decorations. So let's go ahead and get started. At some point, I'm going to be breaking out this wall and putting some windows in here as well as on the other side over there. But in the meantime, I've got a nice solid wall, so let's make a to-do list. First up, and I don't have the center, but that's okay, we need a cobble gen. For that, like I said, we're going to use a blood magic crusher. So that's the first item on our list, because we need cobblestone, and I'm tired of mining it myself. Next up, we are going to need will generation. So that's going to be a couple different rituals. So let's put rituals. There's two different ones I'll need for that. One is I think it's called the crack of the fractured something or other. And another one that basically will kill mobs for me. So I'll need to set up a mob spawner for that. So that's going to be part of the destructive and raw will. So we'll get on that. Next up, we need sand. Well, we don't really need a whole lot of sand yet, but we will need sand at some point, because it's part of a cobble gen. So, sand. A couple options here. Another blood magic, the crusher ritual. If I use that with, I think it's destructive actually. Maybe. I'll have to look that one up. If I use that, it'll turn the cobblestone or maybe gravel into sand. Another option, though, is Botania. This is the alchemy catalyst. I don't have enough room. I'll just leave it at Botania. That'll turn cobblestone into sand for me as well, but then I'll need to start automating my mana, which, again, is a thing that's on my to-do list anyway. In fact, it's actually the next thing here. Automate mana. Our plan for that, and I'm going to probably horribly misspell this, is a Gormarilis. It basically eats food. So for that, I will probably, I'm thinking maybe baked potatoes. Reason for that is I can use yet another blood magic ritual. Also then, I'm going to be able to smelt that through Ars Magica, which will get me a lot more Vintium. I won't necessarily need the Vintium itself, but I plan on having power run everywhere, and going to need a lot of Vintium in order to actually run that power. So, automate mana is through Gormarilis. In a similar vein to that one though, I need to automate smelting. For now, it's going to be basically I'll have a chest up here, just an input chest that I'll route items into that get smelted, as well as I can then manually just toss in a couple stacks of wood and have that turn into charcoal for anything I need. Let's see, what else do I need? We need to automate. You can see the keyword here is automate today. We're going to automate or processing. There's a couple options on that. One is I can route it through a crusher ritual with, I can never remember which one it is. It may be Vengeance or something. whatever the green one is. I think that one will let me double my ores through blood magic. Otherwise, I can also use the like I'm using currently, which is Aura Cascade, which was what I would need charcoal for. Otherwise, another option that we have is I could go the Embers route, which I probably need to do anyway because there's copper and stuff that I think can only be processed through that. So I'll just leave it at now, ore processing. Let's see. I guess we're kind of going backwards here. I need smelting, ore processing, but I also need ore generation. That's going to be done with a orchid from Botania. So again, I'll need automated mana for that one. Let's see, what else do I need to do? Ah, yes, this one's actually really important. Go to the end. Reason for that is I need a lot of mana pearl, or, well, they'll need to be mana pearls at some point. A lot of ender pearls. I only have about 2 stacks at the moment, so it should be enough to get me to the end. And then I'll be able to set up an ender in there, because I will want that for, I think, the last thing on this list for now, Corporea. Now, I could use Corporea for moving items around, but I'm actually going to be using it as kind of a status update. With that, I'll be able to have a little flag for if I have, let's say, right now I have 5 stacks of cobblestone in here. When I have, call it 64 stacks of cobblestone, it'll turn off my cobble generator. That way I don't have things running needlessly, I don't have any sort of backup problems, I don't have overflow problems. Basically, I want to be able to turn every single automation off depending on how much of it I have in the system. So, for instance, I'll have, 64 stacks of cobblestone, but it's going to be drawing that into sand, which I have over here. So my sand will start using up the cobblestone, so as it lowers the amount of cobble I have, it'll start rebuilding more cobble, sand will get turned into glass, so when that gets melted down, and so on and so forth. Everything automated, everything able to be shut off on its own. Because if I leave too many things running, well, quite honestly, my frame rate, my tick rate is just going to go absolutely terrible. So, being able to turn things off is going to be a huge benefit. So, let's see, what should we do on this first? I think the cobble generator is still probably the first thing I want to do. I need to actually set up an area for that. I think I'm going to start with that, and I think move to automated smelting with Ars Magica. That way I can get the smooth stone needed for all this polished stone that'll use my actual base and build my base out of that. So, let's go ahead and make the cobble generator. As most of my automation is being used with these rituals, we find ourselves over here at the blood altar. So I want to kind of go over how this is automated. I've talked about it before, but, it doesn't hurt. So I've got this orb, which is right now just kind of sitting here charging up. I've maxed out already, so that's fine. Right now it's only somewhat automated. I have it able to keep this stock in here, but if I throw any stone into this chest, it's automatically going to get pulled in here, and it's going to just basically build up to the demonic slates until well, not actually sure how long it'll go. Do I have... Yeah, so it goes to 32. So really that last one, it'll just turn into a demonic slate and just sit in the altar forever, which isn't really great, but for now it kind of works. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take out 2 stacks of these reinforced slates, because I need a lot of those for the rituals. So since I do that, if I just simply replace it with stone, it'll just be able to build up like that. And I have my blood orb set as one of the things that the altar can take. So it'll steal that from this chest when it's done. That way it's going to rebuild these 2 stacks. And then once it's done, it'll pull in the master blood orb and keep charging up the orb. It's not exactly an ideal solution, but it does work for now. At some point I'll have to figure out how I can... Oh, I'll probably have to use Corporea to have it so that when I request items, I'll just have this pulled directly into my main stores. When I request items, then it'll maybe throw like 10 stones in here, and to use that to replace these. Go away. I was kind of hoping that they would get killed before they reached me, but apparently not. Oh well, any more will anyway. So, this is going to go ahead and cook up more of these reinforced slates. So that's going to basically just replace it once I'm done with them. And so I need a lot more rituals. So let's go back home and start setting up this automation. I think in addition to a cobble gen, I'm going to need to work on an obsidian generator as well, which is actually pretty easy. It's just going to be another ritual, the Serenade of the Nether, with a crusher on top of it. So it'll just form lava will turn into obsidian, and it'll get mined up. Because this is my last stack of obsidian. Remember kids, only you can prevent forest fires. Something that's going to help us, since we're doing most of our automation with rituals, is the Demon Will Aura Gauge. It's really simple, just a crystal, redstone, gold, and glass. So let's just toss these in here. And our Tartaric Gem. What this does... why are you not working? Oh. Right, not glowstone. Gold. Let's see, which one? I hate having to turn these off, but it does make the frame rate a little bit better. There we go. Gold, not glowstone. So let's take this. As you can see, we have absolutely nothing in our chunk, which seems a little strange because it's right here. However, the chunk border is actually right at this part. So if I stand here, it should be in the chunk. You can see I've got, I think if I hold shift, yeah. So I have lots of the raw as well as the destructive in this chunk. I'm actually letting my raw gems, or raw crystals here, grow all the way. That way the remaining raw will that's in the aura will hopefully go towards building these destructive crystals. Like I said, need more of those at the moment. I have about 40 or 50 some of the raw crystals, so that will basically all be automated later. But having this aura gauge will help for setting up the automation to get these to just go on their own and just mass produce it. I'll also be able to then hopefully get more than just these 2 types. There's, I think, 5 types in total. So for now, let's go on downstairs and figure out where we'd like to make this automation. So drop down here. Ah. The elevator bounced me back up. There we go. Okay. Big open space, lots of room, which is kind of a pain for designing things. I think what I might do is use this area over here for my kind of initial cobblestone generation. So I'll start this over here and just kind of fill out the whole area, maybe put some walls up and make it look nice. So let me kind of do a little bit of designing here and I will get back to you. So I was going to go ahead and separate it by chunks. If I go F3G, it pulls up the chunk borders here. But as you can see, it doesn't really line up nicely. So instead what I opted to do is I'm going to have a central pathway. I'm going to have the 4 crusher rituals here, 2 on either side. For now I just put a sign in front of it as to what it's going to be doing. This one will be making gravel. This one will be making my cobblestone to begin with. Obsidian, I'll have to put the Serenaded Nether in the bottom of that one. And then this one here for sand. And actually what I realized is that I can probably just put the sand and the gravel together, use like a hopper hawk or something, or not hopper hawk, a random carpus to place down the blocks, and then this will break it and crush it. So the stone will turn into gravel, gravel will turn into sand. So I can probably just do that with one ritual here. But I'm still going to keep this one, simply because I'm going to use this as kind of an auto fortune thing. I'm going to be getting all of the materials from the Botania orchid, and at least for now I'm going to want something that can just automatically do fortune 3 on things. So I'll just kind of pump the materials over here, it'll break it and break it with fortune. The reason why I wanted to do the chunks is because with, like I said before, with the Demon Will, if I go, is it this chunk? No. This chunk over here is currently where all of my Demon Will is. There you go, pops up there. So what I need to do is I need to put pylons in each of these chunks so that it'll just spread it evenly throughout the entire base. I was hoping that I'd be able to get away with just doing like one chunk here, but like I said, I couldn't really get it to divide nicely, and everything's kind of on borders. And besides, just randomly 16 by 16 blocks of stone, or whatever I'm using for flooring here, will look a little weird. So let's go ahead and get our rituals actually built here. 3G, let's turn that guy off. You can see the, this might be a little more difficult than I was hoping. I think I can reach it, there we go. So let's just place in all the blocks. I already put the chest on top here. That's where the materials are going to go once it actually starts making it. I'll just break it down here and do it this way. There we go. I should have enough stones for all this. If not, then I can just make more. Should probably make the obsidian and cobblestone ones first so that I can actually use that to make the materials. But these I think are almost done. We can go ahead and activate these, and then that will clear out the area underneath them, For now, I just have it marked off with dirt here. I guess grass in this one, but let's switch over to the activation crystal and do that. Get out of here before it traps me in there. Okay, go ahead and activate you. Yep, 2 things are breaking now. Activate you. Get out of there. Now, these are kind of slow at the moment. That's okay. Once I get the raw will over here, then it'll actually speed all these up anyway. And I think I can do some various like augmentations to make them even faster. But for now, it should be pretty good. Let's go ahead and clear out my areas here. I'm going to go ahead and line this with probably different stone. For now, I just had a bunch of regular stone on me, so I just marked off the different areas. And then I ran out of stone, so I couldn't finish the outlines. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of decorate this a little bit, and I will get back to you once I have something that hopefully looks nice. We'll see. One thing with the Ritual of the Crusher here is that it'll break pretty much everything except for other ritual stones. See, if I place down a stone here, it'll break almost instantly, whereas this ritual stone will just stay here. So we're going to use that to our advantage. We're going to start off by making a Serenade of the Nether down here. So this will have a block of lava here. But in order to make this obsidian, I'm going to use 4 ritual stones, 1 on each side here, and a thing of water at the top here. And then with that, I don't need to actually contain the lava part down here. It's just going to turn to obsidian instantly. It's going to just immediately break it, and actually it's going to fill up pretty quickly. So let's go ahead and place our last ritual stone there. Let's get out of here, because I'm kind of stuck at the moment. Let's go ahead and activate the ritual. There's our lava. Place our water on top. And there we go. It's about 1 second, I think, which is plenty fine for us. Just going to keep pumping through. I actually ran out of obsidian when making the last couple ritual stones. So this is going to be a huge help. I have automatic obsidian. Cobblestone's right over here, so let's go ahead and start this one as well. I'm not going to do anything fancy with this. Literally just water there and obsidian there. Oh, I missed it. Okay, well, I'll get another obsidian. Let's see. Scoop you up. Grab a lava. Let's try this again. There we go. So, we've got automatic cobblestone, got automatic obsidian. Pretty much set for these two. I don't really need to do much more on these. Yeah, that's fine. Because they'll just keep breaking anyway, so that's good. Let's get over here. I just need to patch up that and put my water back in. Okay. We have obsidian, we have cobblestone. And what I'm going to do is this chest is actually going to be empty pretty much all times. I'm going to have a way to control this using probably Corporea. This is all going to automatically export into the storage system upstairs. And yeah, once the storage up there is full, this will output a redstone signal and turn off the Ritual of the Crusher. So then these are basically done, automated, all good. This guy's going to be a bit more of a pain. Before I can actually automate these guys for Fortune 3 and for lack of a better term, grinding here, in order to do that, I actually need another ritual. And like I said, I just ran out of obsidian, so there we go, 40. That should be enough, actually. So I'm going to go ahead, prepare a little place for this, and yeah, I need to also take care of some mob spawning for this, because I need to actually kill mobs in order to get this to work. So, be a little bit of preparation on this one, but I'll be right back. Right next to the Cobbleworks here, I cleared out a 7x7 square. This has 2 different rituals. The bottom one here is the, I can't remember the name of it, here we go, Gathering of Forsaken Souls. What this does is it'll kill mobs underneath it, and in the process, I'm actually not entirely sure if it will immediately grow a crystal spire here. You can see the little side spires. I can't remember if it'll immediately grow that or if it reduces the amount of will required to grow that. Either way, it definitely does speed up the entire process here, which will make these grow much faster. I moved these from up above. Plan on having 3 rows of the raw will here, and then just 1 row each of the other different types of will. On top here, I haven't activated this one yet, at least I hope I haven't yet. Maybe I have, I don't remember. It's the Crack of the Fractured Crystal, or Fractured, yeah, fractured crystal. Long names. What that'll do is it'll automatically start harvesting these. Now, I think I don't have this one activated yet, which is why this isn't harvested. Either that or it's just below the range, but I can actually change the range anyway, so I'm not too worried. I actually don't want it to automatically start harvesting these yet, just because I need to actually get the rest of these different types of wills. In order to do that, we're going to go ahead and move this down here as well. We're going to make a couple more of these demon crucibles. And the reason for that is I want one for each type of will. So I've got my regular will over there. Currently there's nothing in it, because I took my Tartaric gem out of it. So I'll have one of each, and then with that I'll have hoppers leading into them, which will then just keep filling it up with the applicable crystal. So let's pull that out. And I'm actually just going to put these in a row here. There's no real reason not to. Again, this is the chunk boundary here, so I want them all in the same chunk. That way this can harvest that will automatically. Oh, I have another of these ones as well. I'll take that. So let's go ahead and make some hoppers. What I did was I had this area down here cleared out. What I'm going to do down here is I'm actually going to put another thing, well, a couple things in here. First off is from Ars Magica, the Black Aurum. What that thing does is it also kills mobs. Now, when they die to that, it'll gather up the Dark Ethereum, the dark power for Ars Magica. It'll technically be a bit slower since the ritual here is going to be killing things as well as it's going to be killing things. I've done it before with the two of them together and it seems to work pretty well. I guess it would technically slow it down a little bit, but honestly not enough to really matter. So I'm not too concerned about that. As far as what's actually going to be in there to be killed, I do have that skeleton spawner that I stole earlier. I'm going to probably grab a couple different types of them. If I recall correctly, the gathering ritual there works best when there's multiple types of monsters. So, actually, I thought that was that's a zombie. Oh. Okay, well, either way, zombie will work just as well. So I'll put this down there. I'm going to put in some automatic lighting, just so I can flip a switch anytime I need to go down there. I shouldn't have to go down here a whole lot. I shouldn't have to go down here at all, but you never know. So place that in there. I might actually lower this one more as well. I'm not entirely sure. Let's have that there for now. I'm going to go steal a couple more spawners and get the materials ready for the Dark Aurum. Quick break from Blood Magic. Let's go ahead and make what we need here. So, like I said, there's 3 different types of power for Ars Magica. All of them start with the obelisk. Just the plain obelisk with Vintium dust in it gets you the neutral, but there's also then the Dark Aurum and the Celestial Prism. Now, unfortunately, the book here, the Arcane Compendium, wasn't too helpful. Normally it is. I think I don't have the unlocks enabled properly. So let's go ahead. I know I need some focuses here, or foci, whatever the plural is. Let's go ahead and make a couple of these standard. There we go. Now, one of these needs to be, I believe it's a mana focus. It might be a charge focus. I could be wrong, but I'll find out shortly. And the other one needs to be the monster focus. So let's go ahead and find just any clearing for this. Normally you'd need to do this pretty much where you want your final power generator to be, but since I have my super cheaty appropriation spell, I can just pick up and move anything I want. So let's start with the Celestial Prism. Now to do this one, you make a big plus sign here. This is the Ritual of Purification, is what it's called. So we lay out our chalk here. Go away. Okay, almost done. Big plus sign, hopefully I don't break my chalk. And then we place down some warding candles. These go in each of the corners. For some reason when they're placed down you can't actually see them. I'm guessing if I were to relog that would fix it. But doesn't really matter right now because they don't need to be here very long anyway. Now, each of the Ars Magica rituals here requires you to cast a spell. I actually don't have the right spell for the Dark Aurum yet, which is why we're starting with this. I'll start by throwing that down. It's going to pop back into my inventory in a second here. There we go. Mana focus. Toss both of these, and then hit it with light. There we go. Celestial Prism. Now, you'll notice it's not working. It's because it is night. You notice I purposely did this actually underground here, underneath something. A lot of people seem to think that this is pretty much just a solar a solar panel where it needs to actually see the sun. It actually doesn't need to. It can be pretty much anywhere you'd like, which works out for us because then I can put this out of the way. So there you can see it's charging up, and I can see the numbers now. Before I couldn't, but I have the it says AM2 tooltip.infusions Magitech goggles integration. So basically, once you level up your various armor here and you can get the various regen, like this has the regen bonus, this also has physical damage resistance and magic damage resistance. For the helmet, you can actually get your Magitech goggles. Normally you could craft it up and be able to see things, but I find it easier just to put it on whatever I'm wearing. The low level helmet enchantment thing doesn't really do much for me anyway. There aren't any other ones that I really like, so I figure I'm not really wasting any space, and now I can actually see all my power. So let's go ahead and pick this guy up. There we go. I'm just not actually sure where I want him yet, but I know I want him out of the way. So I think down here is pretty much as good a spot as any. I don't have any blocks on me, do I? Of course not. So this is going to take up a 5x5 area, kind of similar to this. And I want it to look kind of nice. So I think what I'm going to do, I think I'll put a wall or something in here to separate out those. So I'll have this line up with this ritual across the way here. So let's see, that'd be my corner, diagonal, and right here is where it's there we go. So this is still charging. It did lose its power just now, but that's okay. It wasn't a whole lot of power to begin with. And along with this, I'm actually going to just put this in the ground here. Break that, mana battery. What this will do is it'll store the charge. This I think maxes out at like 1,000 or something, whereas the mana battery will hold I think 100,000. So quite a bit more. In addition to that one over there, I should have put this one further back so I could place this without it in my way. I suppose I can put it up here, but that's probably too far away. I'll actually do it this way then. Did not line that up. Oh well, you move there. Okay, and now let's break you. This guy is kind of weird if you break him with a spell. There we go, in line. That's still not actually where I wanted it. Break you. Place you. Break you again. Okay. And where'd my other stone go? There we go. So I don't have my wrench on me. This one here is going to get filled up with the light Ethereum. This one will be filled up by the dark Ethereum once I get the black orb down there. And then these will be kind of nearish to each other, and I can route power easier. So let's go ahead and get a spell ready to make the black orb. Like the obelisk before, the celestial prism, as well as the dark orb, can actually be upgraded. So let's go ahead and do that because, as it is, this thing is pretty slow. I've only got less than 1,000 units, whatever the unit is. I only have less than 1,000 right now, whereas the obelisk over there gets 1,000 about a second, if that. So putting these down speeds it up quite a bit. It's getting, I guess, 7 a second now, or a little less. But, like before, there's also these pillars. So, that's why it's going to be taking up a 5x5 spot. Yeah. Now, I could do gold blocks on top of this. I'm using diamond because it's better than the gold. But also, I can use moonstone. And the way I'm going to actually use this whole setup is I'm going to have probably about a half dozen or so of these celestial prisms. These are extremely slow, and if I'm going to be using this for any sort of power, especially for smelting, then it's going to be way too slow. So now it's getting, what is that, about 15 a second or so? 12 a second? So sizable improvement. It's still extremely slow. Let's go ahead and link this up. There we go. It should start filling. I might actually need a redstone signal for that to work though. Yeah, I think I do. Do I have a lever on me? Of course not. I never have what I need. So that's filling up. That's actually pretty close to being fill. So I'm going to go grab some levers, put a lever on that, and then that will make it so I won't start wasting my power. And I should have levers in here somewhere. I can never remember where I put them. Cannot wait until I can get Corporea in here and just ask for levers. They stay in the chest? Oh, okay. I guess I don't have a spot for them yet. So let's go down here. Try to miss my elevator so I don't bounce back up. There we go. And let's throw this. I think it just needs to be. Is that working? There we go. 1,000. There we go. So that's now being drained. This will get filled up. I wonder if I turn this off now that it's selected. Okay, no, it stops charging. Okay, well, this is filling up, so that's gonna not waste all my power. Still need to get the black arm set up here, and I do actually have my spell book, or book and quill here. So let's go ahead and make our spell. This isn't going to be any fancy spell. This is actually normally one of the first ones I do. Projectile and fire damage. That's it. Just need to hit the ritual with fire damage. I'm not going to be making this any special sort of spell, mostly because I'm wanting to keep using my just plain magic damage. Firebolt. I'm wanting to just use the plain magic damage, because you can see on the right hand side there I'm at 92.25% for arcane. Now, the reason for that is there's affinities. Personally, I don't like any of the affinities. They all seem to have more negatives than positives. For instance, with life here, you start dealing less damage the higher that is. Ender, you start taking damage in the sun, as well as water. Lightning is another one where if you just touch water, it'll completely drain your mana. Ice, I'd rather not have frozen water when I walk around. Nature, not sure, let's see, leaf on the wind. Oh yeah, that one, when it's stormy, you get moved around, which can get a little annoying. I think air does the same thing. Earth slows you down, but you take less fall damage. Fire, again, weakness to water, that's kind of a recurring theme here. Yeah, I'm not too fond of any of these. With arcane, the weakness is that you are weaker to magic damage. There's not a whole lot of sources of magic damage, and honestly you can kind of negate that with armor anyway. Whereas Clearcaster and Magical Focus makes you be able to cast spells without using any mana. Not sure why it froze there for a second. So what I'm trying to do is get this all the way to 100, because once any of them hit 100, all of your affinities freeze. So I'll be able to cast any other spell without worrying about, oh, I'm going to raise my lightning too high and suddenly start draining mana when it starts raining on me. So this is almost done, and then I'll be able to cast anything I want, especially flight, because then I can just cast it at the 30-second range instead of having to do the ritual each time. Ritual is useful, it makes it last for a long time, but if I just need to get like on top of those pillars there, I don't want to have to like lower my affinity just because I needed to fly for 30 seconds. So we made our spellbook here, Firebolt. This is actually going to be probably a pretty cheap recipe if I recall. Yeah, basically red rune, flint, and steel. That's it, fire damage. Oh, and I guess Aventium. So let's go ahead and get that together, make our spell, and then we can make our dark arm. I actually just realized how long this episode is getting. It's getting a little long, but I think we're going to have to continue that on the next episode. Go ahead and make the spell, and then, yeah, we will continue with our automation here. Get the will processing finished up. I've got basically cobblestone and obsidian all working. Still haven't touched the other two, but that's okay. I can get to that next episode. So, thank you for watching. Again, if you have any sort of feedback, positive or negative, I would love to hear it. Alright, thank you. Bye-bye.